What up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery, episode number 191. My friends, today we have a pretty special treat for you with Mrs. Robbie Kellman Baxter, and she was a consultant for companies but Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft, Fitbit. And what she talks to us about today is how can we learn as real estate agents to offer the type of a membership that those types of companies offer to their clients and to their database. And ultimately, if you look at those companies, how they changed the expectations of everything, of people when they're shopping, of business, of just every interaction, every transaction. So it's a really, really cool episode. I had a lot of fun with Robbie, and she just shares some really great insights. And she wrote a really great book called The Forever Transaction. So I would definitely encourage you to go pick up that book. And she just shares a way that we can be in front of our clients and be their real estate agent, or whatever you do, be their person forever, and they're buying into your membership. And she also coined the membership economy. So, hey, this is a great interview. It's fun. I had a good time with Robbie. And here's what I would say. Please also don't forget about our sponsors. Vulcan7.com. Listen, guys, for your expired, this is a great time of year to get out there now. Start making those calls, get in touch with those for sale by owners, those expireds, use it for your database. But now's a great time because I'll tell you, a lot of agents are going to coast a little bit now. A lot of people are going to start laying back. So I think it's a great time to turn it up, my friends. That's what I'm doing. So you're welcome to join me, by the way, on 35 Call Challenge. Go to 35callchallenge.com. You're welcome to join us for some prospecting. And don't forget about our meetup, November 12th. We got a jam-packed meetup for you. My friend Jim Black's going to be with us, closing 275 to 300 transactions a year. We've got Lauren Morano, who runs the First Time Buyer podcast. Just awesome, just bringing tons of value. And hey, here's something I'm super excited about. I am relaunching my coaching. So if you're interested in coaching, just reach out to me. Send me an email, david@davidihill.com. Just put coaching in the subject line and I will respond to you. I'll get you a calendar so you can log something in my calendar. We'll have a great conversation. My friends, hey, listen, I know the intro was a little bit long. This episode is phenomenal. So I hope you take a ton of notes, listen to it multiple times, share it with someone, and you absolutely rock. Enjoy. Hey, what's up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. Today we are with Robbie Baxter. Robbie, how's it going?
Really good, thanks. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing really good myself. Thanks for joining us today.
It's fun to be here.
Yeah, definitely. And you're an author. You have a few really cool books. You also worked with some big companies with strategy and providing business advice like Netflix, Fitbit, and Microsoft. Wow. I mean, some of these names, right? Consumer Reports. Good for you. Well, you know what? I'll just read your bio because, I get this habit of just butchering bios. So you're a business consultant, an author, a speaker. You're also the author of The Membership Economy. And your most recent book is The Forever Transaction. You're also host of the podcast Subscription Stories. Is that a new podcast?
It's brand new. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So podcast Subscription Stories, go check that out. Robbie has more than 20 years experience providing strategic business advice to major organizations, again, including Netflix, Fitbit, Microsoft, Consumer Reports. She's been focused on subscription and growth strategies for the past decade. And Baxter has been featured in the Wall Street Journal and on CNN. She's earned an MBA from Stanford GSB, and graduated with honors from Harvard College. So again, welcome, man. You are you're a pretty important person. Thank you.
I've lived a long time, right? The bio gets longer the older you are.
Yeah, that can definitely happen. Let me ask you this question to start. And I definitely want to jump into membership economy, and also, Forever Transaction. I think Forever Transaction really fits too with with real estate. We talked a little bit about this, but you worked with Netflix. So there's a lot of people comparing kind of like what Netflix did to like the movie industry and some of the other industries, like what music, like Apple and some of the other music did to the music industry. How do you see that? Like, what would you say? What are some of the lessons that we as real estate agents you think could learn, or even just one from like Netflix or companies like that, like how they're changing everything so much?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to do is to take a step back and look at your customers and think about why they came to you in the first place and what the goal is, the ongoing goal that they have. And then think about how you can better align your services to meet their ongoing needs. So, for example, why did I buy my first house? Right? I bought my first house because we were starting a family, because we wanted to be in a good school district, because we wanted more room to grow, because we wanted to be part of a community. And one of the things I did to achieve those goals is to buy a house in a particular neighborhood. Thinking about all of those other goals gives you reasons to stay in touch and to deepen the relationship over time.
Okay, fair enough. And I get that. I guess maybe I'm sometimes I'm not the greatest at asking questions. I'm curious to kind of get your thoughts as to, we're kind of an industry where, what you just said, we want to stay in touch with our clients. It's important for them to, because people are buying houses every 5 to 7 years. So a lot of times I'd say one of the biggest challenges we don't stay in front of them, and they kind of forget about us when they're ready to take action again. But there's a lot of people, the industry itself is changing a lot, right? There's disruption coming in. So I guess my question to you, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to ask the question, is how do you see, like, if you worked with a company like Netflix as an example, Fitbit, how do you think that affects the real estate industry?
Yeah. Okay. So I think that everybody's doing subscription now and everybody's thinking about membership, right? 5 years ago, I wrote The Membership Economy because nobody saw what was happening with Netflix and Spotify and LinkedIn and Amazon Prime, how those same principles could reinvent virtually any industry. Okay. And the way that you reinvent any industry is by having what I call a forever promise to justify a forever transaction. And, with Netflix, that forever promise is, the most convenient way to get professionally created video content delivered with cost certainty, right? So 15 years ago, the most efficient way was through the mail, and it was somebody else's DVD content. Today, it's streaming and it's Netflix's own content. But that promise hasn't changed. The reason I subscribe to Netflix today is the same as the reason from 15 years ago. And what I was getting at earlier about real estate is that it's the same idea. We buy houses because that's the only choice we have, right? You can buy, you can rent, I guess you can live in a hotel, but those are kind of your options. And I think we need to be thinking about, I think the real estate community needs to be thinking about how can we package value differently to solve some of the problems that aren't being solved. I think on a really big, if you were like thinking really broadly, you might say, what are some other ways that you could engage with properties without having to own them the way that you do today? But even on a smaller level, for that individual realtor, I think you have an opportunity to say, okay, I have this customer in front of me. They came to me because they want a better life. They want to be part of this community. After the moment of transaction, after they buy the house from me, what can I do that they're willing to pay for, hopefully, but it could even be for free, that will keep this relationship strong so that the next time they have a transaction, they're selling this house, they're buying something else, they're buying a rental property, whatever it is, they think of me first. They have a forever transaction with me. They're a member of my community. And that's the way I think you need to think. It's so tempting to say that moment of transaction is the finish line. And then I run out and I go get another customer. and then I sell to them. And then when I close that deal, I move on. Instead of saying, I've gone through all the trouble of building a relationship with this person. How do I deepen it and expand it? And maybe that's through additional services. Maybe that's through locking in the likelihood of them buying from me in the future. Maybe that's getting referrals in a more formalized way. But it's really important to think long-term if you want to have that forever transaction.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So let's switch gears. Most of our listeners are realtors, and you talked about membership. How does that fit into what we've been talking about?
Yeah. So, a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between membership and a subscription, right? Because my books are about both. And, for me, a subscription is just a pricing decision. It's something that you can get people to pay on an ongoing basis. It's in some ways, it's like renting, right? I pay you every month. I get access to something every month in return. I can leave anytime I want, unless we have a different kind of contract. I get flexibility, usually in exchange for a premium or not getting to own the asset. But membership is about a mindset. It's how you feel about the people you serve. It's like you have the assumption that you're going to be in a relationship with this person for a long time. So as a result of that, you do a couple of things differently. One of them is you don't try to get every last penny out of them on the first transaction because there's going to be a second transaction, a third, a fourth. Another is that you're thinking about those later transactions and setting things up so that what you do is optimized for people who are going to be likely to do more with you over time. And a good kind of metaphor or way of thinking about this, and I'm sure that many of these listeners have had this experience, is what is the experience like for a regular customer versus the experience when you're doing a transaction for your mom, for your next door neighbor, your best friend, and kind of the way that they have a different kind of intimacy with you and an expectation that you're always going to be in their corner. And that's really the metaphor, like having a doctor in the family versus going to the doctor. If you have a realtor in your family, you just expect something a little different, I think, than if you have an arm's length professional transaction with them.
Well, I think that's honestly probably one of the challenges with our industry then, right? The fact that somebody would expect something different or I think that's, I think you nailed it. And that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of realtors, they don't create that trust or that, I don't know, when you when you asked me the question earlier, you said the difference between membership and subscription, my mind automatically went to kind of like subscription, but explain membership means you're part of like a community or something. Like explain that for us. How does that work?
Yeah. Membership is the way that you feel about your customers, where you treat them as if you know that they're going to be in your life for a long time. So you have to be really fair with them. You have to, if you sold your mom a house that she doesn't like, and she found out later that she paid too much for it and you rushed her into it, you'll never hear the end of it, right? Because she's going to be there for Thanksgiving. She's going to be there for birthday parties. You can't avoid her. In an arm's length transaction with an acquaintance, you may not see them again. Who cares if they're a little bit mad at you? So it sort of changes the mindset. One example I think about is in the world of cars, right? If I buy a Lamborghini because I want to go fast, right? First of all, if I buy a Lamborghini, even though I have 3 toddlers at home, right? And then I say, I want a Lamborghini because I have 3 kids and I have 3 car seats, right? If that car dealer doesn't mention to me that the car seats are not going to fit, then it's my problem. If I buy, right, once I buy the car, it doesn't have a back seat. I know.
Yeah.
So I roll that car off the showroom floor and I get home and I'm like, oh crap, the seats don't fit, right? That's my problem now, right? I might hate the Lamborghini dealer. I might tell everybody that it's awful, but they have my $187,000 already, right? Or another example, I buy the Lamborghini because I want to go fast. Right. And they say, this is the fastest car, Robbie. You're going to love it. I buy it. I roll it off the showroom floor. I keep it in first gear. I drive it home. Right. Never goes very fast. Right. I tell all my friends, Lamborghini's not such a great car. It doesn't go very fast. Right. Doesn't matter to the Lamborghini dealer because I already bought it. Now, if I'm subscribing to that same car and I can return it if I don't like it, I can cancel my subscription. Suddenly, it's in the interest of the dealer to make sure I'm getting the value I pay for, that I'm achieving my long-term goals. They say, before you leave, Robbie, let me show you how to shift the gears. Let me give you a little class. And if you have any problems, I'm going to swing by your house and make sure you're enjoying it. Because if you're not enjoying it, we don't have a relationship. Does that make sense?
Do you have a Lamborghini?
No, I drive it.
I don't know. You said 187,000 specific. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just, it's just the metaphor. We all have, everybody, not everybody, but most people have had an experience of driving or owning a car.
Sure.
So it's a good example.
No, I get it. It's one of my silly questions. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about that then. So essentially what you're saying, like I'll use Amazon. I think Amazon is maybe a better example for, we expect an experience. When we go to Amazon, we're getting super convenient. Things are delivered in one day. We get everything we want. The prices are super, usually really good pricing, right? If we go to Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, then we have a different experience. We're in Whole Foods now. We know we're going to pay a little bit more, but we expect a high level experience, right? Is that kind of what you're talking about when you talk about like membership?
Well, it's an interesting question. So Amazon is a great membership economy company because they are always thinking about the long-term relationship, right? They started giving you free shipping. Like I've been getting free shipping from them for like 10 years, right?
Yeah,
I know they've lost money on me in the first few years.
Well, it's not free. It's paying $99 a year, right?
right. It's included.
Sure.
But they're playing the long game with me, right? They've changed my habits. Like I originally said, well, if I'm going to use them at least 5 times a year, I might as well get Prime. But now I go there first. I've changed my behavior. I go to Amazon first to see if they have the product I need, whether it's a new jacket or shampoo or, printer paper or whatever. I go to Amazon first. So all the other retailers, they don't have a chance, right? Because I start with Amazon and then only if they don't have something do I look elsewhere. So what they've done is change my habit by focusing on the long term. Their promise, Amazon's forever promise, is to remove all friction from all buying decisions. And I would say, watch out. Maybe they're going to start selling houses, right? Right?
Yeah,
because it's
already
like
happening.
There's a lot of friction in the home buying process. Right? There's a lot of paperwork. It's an imperfect market, right? I remember when we were trying to buy our house, our second house, and we had an amount of money that I thought was a reasonable amount to pay. And we needed a certain set of things that I thought were reasonable things. We need 4 bedrooms. We need to be near this school. It needs to be livable. I don't want to have to remodel everything. And it took us like over a year because there just wasn't that much inventory and it wasn't quite right. And somebody beat us out. It should, there's a lot of friction in the process. And so big picture, figuring out how to remove friction from the buying process has been Amazon's entire strategy. They pick a category, they say, how do we remove friction from the buying process? And then they load it into the Amazon experience.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I think the challenge they're going to have is probably the challenge a lot of these other companies have is the fact that it's an emotional transaction. And like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of trust involved in these transactions getting to the other side. So yeah, I think it's a little bit more challenging, but I'm guessing at some point, they're slowly but sure. I mean, look at the travel industry, right? I don't know about you. 25 years ago, if I wanted to go on a vacation, I went downtown, I sat down with a travel agent, and that's how I did it. Now I go to Expedia, right?
Yeah. Another interesting example in kind of the world of real estate is, 2 companies in hospitality right now are basically offering a way where you can just live wherever you want in the world. One of them is Citizen M in Amsterdam. They have, 30 different hotels around the world. And they're offering a global passport where you pay by the month. And as long as you're staying in one of their hotels for 30 days at a time, it's $1,500 a month. And so you could live in Amsterdam for 15 days, and then you could go to Washington, D.C. for 15 days, and then you could go to Boston for 7 days, and then you can go to Paris for 14 days. And, they're reinventing, how do I find a place that's right for me to live? Another example is Inspirato, where you get a card, almost like a fast pass card, and you can put the card down and make a reservation on any of their properties around the world. And then you stay in that property. And then when you're done with that, the minute you start staying in that property, you can apply your card again to stay in the next place. So in other words, you could live off that card for the rest of your life, and just go from place to place. So
wow,
it's just, it's not exactly real estate, but it's just interesting that they're repackaging the value and giving people more choices about how they want to live.
Yeah, definitely. Well, no, that's awesome. I wrote down both of those companies. I'm going to go look them up. Yeah. Let's talk about the forever transaction. Talk to us about that. What's the essence of that book?
Yeah. So the essence of the book is, if you like what I'm talking about and you say, I want to build a forever transaction with my customers, I want to build greater loyalty, I want to smooth out the spikiness of my relationship. 5 years, I have a big transaction. 5 years, I don't hear from them. Another big transaction. How do you build the business to support that ongoing relationship? So that's what it is. The first book was why this is so powerful. And the second book is how do you do it?
Masters, I'm going to get you right back to the show. Don't forget to sign up for this month's meetup. Go to davidsmeetup.com. Get registered right away. Hey, we're also thinking about our November 35 call challenge. The October was phenomenal. So if you're a realtor, you're listening to this, we're going to be focusing on expireds in November. So go to 35callchallenge.com. Get registered now, and we'll get you all the details for November. My friends, enjoy the rest of the show. Get signed up for the meetup. I will see you soon. You rock. So let's why don't we put together here's a plan. So a real estate agent, I just sold you a house. You're excited. You're happy. You're in your new house. We did a good job for you. Now you're probably not going to buy another house for 5 years, 7 years, maybe 10 years. So what would that look like? Let's lay out a few of those.
Yeah. So here's a couple of ideas. Okay. So one idea is, I just want to keep the relationship warm, right? The only way I want to make money is by selling houses or selling properties, but I want to keep the relationship warm. So in that case, you might say, what's a freemium membership I can offer to my clients? So freemium means, that they're not paying for it, but it's a subscription. So you might have content that you create that is relevant to them. You might have events that are relevant to them about home maintenance, about trends in the neighborhood, different kinds of information. You might have that be free, or you might take it a level further and say, once they've bought their house, what else are they going to need on an ongoing basis until they buy the next house? So there you might say, well, one thing for me, right? We lived in this house. We put off all improvements. Then we finally bought a new, bigger house. And then they came in and they staged it, right? And they tidied everything up. And I think we spent like $10,000 on paint and carpets and this and that. And then we rented some new furniture, and it looked like 1,000 times better than it looked when we lived there. And I would have loved for my realtor, right now, to bring in those same resources and make spruce things up for me. Right. And what if your realtor did that once a year? If they came in and they spruced things up for you, right? Yeah. And you paid for that. You could pay for that. You say, that's an annual service I want. It's like a realtor audit. What you should be doing to maximize both the value of your home and the enjoyment that you get out of it. We're looking for that intersection of how do I get more enjoyment and how do I invest?
You just gave me an amazing idea for a client event. We are doing a client event tomorrow. We're doing a virtual cooking event. We have a celebrity chef coming on, and we're going to prep a dish. I think we got about 30 people signed up. But why not do a staging event, right? Where you have a virtual stager come on and introduce them to everybody. And that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. And have the stager say, here's 10 really inexpensive things you can do to make your living room look better, or to make your public spaces more inviting. Or, if I have 1,000, this is one of my ideas that I would love to be able to give, in this case, my decorator, but it's sort of the same idea. Here's a fixed amount of money. Here's $5,000 a year. And I want you to, here's the key to my house, and just fix the things that are really bad. I don't even care. I just want the house to always look nice, and I don't want to talk to you about it because it's not fun for me. I just want my house to look nice. Same thing with maintenance, right? You buy this new house and you're like, gardener, carpet cleaner, roofer, like you have all these things that you need. And what if that was something that your realtor could just do for you every year? Every year they could just give you an audit, give you resources, tell you what fair prices are, and make sure your house was well maintained.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And that does
you just we're creating a new industry right now.
New industry.
I don't know who's doing this.
Nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
And the problem is, like, back to my, kind of first point is, what's the forever promise? I'm buying this house and I want it to be awesome. I want to enjoy living in it with my family or my friends or whoever I'm living with. And I want it to be worth something when it's time to move out. So all you're doing right now as a realtor is you're getting me into the home or you're getting me out of the home. But there's a lot of room to provide additional value to me between those two occasions, right? You help me get into the house, you help me get out of the house. But in between, there's 5 to 7 years where I'm trying to enjoy and maximize my investment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like having a concierge service as you move in. Somebody
Totally.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant.
Totally. I mean, there's a million things. Like, here's another one. I know there's a company that's trying to do this. I think it's called Feather. I have to look it up. But you buy your new house, right? And almost everybody, you're either buying up or you're buying down, unless you're moving to a new region, right? Either you're going from a small house to a bigger house or from a big house to a smaller house. And in most cases, you need different furniture, right? And you need, because, you're moving, like I moved from this tiny, tiny house that was our first house to a much bigger house, right? And suddenly we don't have any couches that are big enough for the living room, right? What if you gave them, like you said, hey, you can rent from our, and back to the stager, you can rent from the stager until you're ready to buy, like, what you want. Cause usually you don't have any money after you bought the house, right? Cause you've maxed out. But how do you give them the maximum enjoyment from day one? How do you solve all the, what problems they're going to run into after they buy the house? How do you solve each one of those for them?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. I think the maintenance thing is a huge one. I think everything that the annual staging audit. I mean, I love audit. The audit is the way to go. Not enough people are doing that right now. Yeah, it's fantastic. First off, what did I not ask you? Anything I missed? Like what should I have asked you that I didn't?
No, you did a great. I mean, I think this was a great conversation. I think real estate is ripe for transformation. We're seeing these, online, I forget the big one where you can buy the houses online. They're buying real estate. I mean, there's a lot of change that's going on right now in this space. And I think it's a really good time for realtors to take a look in the mirror and say, what's the value I provide? And how can I provide more value that, a volume-based, real estate website can't do? And what are additional ways for me to provide value, ideally value that people are willing to pay for, and to just be creative. There's so much more you can do. And you're already engaged, as you pointed out, in such a trusting relationship that is so high stakes for people and so emotional. You invest all this time and effort in building that and getting to know them and what they need and what they want. Why not expand the services you can provide them once you've done the heavy lifting of getting to know what they need?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to as an industry, because I think, you're right. If we go back to the travel agent, I think there are still travel agents out there, but they're the ones that are, giving you that elusive first class, vacation where you're going to go sit down with somebody and, you're going to trust them to put together a once in a lifetime vacation for you. It's not just the average guy goes on Expedia. And unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen to real estate. I'm not sure if it might be 5 years or maybe 10 years, but eventually, the average person will be able to get their house on a portal and buyers will be able to access it. And it's coming. It's a matter of time. So Awesome. Well, how do people get in touch with you?
I'm easy to find. RobbieKellmanBaxter.com is my website. And you can get all the information that you need there, or you can link in with me on LinkedIn. That's where I create a lot of content and post a lot of my insights.
I love it. Good for you. Awesome. Hey, I'm a question for you. And if you can't do it, just tell me. I'm putting you on the spot, asking you right here. But we do a meetup once a month. And our next meetup is November 12th at 6 p.m. We'd love to have you come on as a guest, and all real estate agents. I don't know if you'd be open to it. If you can make it, great. If you can't make that one, make the next one.
Yeah, I think that works. If you send me an invite, I will try to make it. That would be fun.
Awesome. I will do that. It's 6 p.m. I'm sorry, not 6 p.m., 4 p.m. We moved it earlier on November 12th. So I'll send you an invite. If you can make it, awesome. If you can't, that's awesome too. We'll do it another time. I just want to thank you. And how do people access your books or anything else they need to get from you?
The books are available anywhere you buy books. Membership Economy is more of the why. It's kind of just an interesting business book, I think. And this one's the one that gets really tactical and into specifics of how to do it. If you're interested in building deeper relationships with your customers that are long lasting, that's the better book. Awesome.
Well, the reason I asked you to be on the meetup, and I haven't done this before, is because I think what we're talking about right now is so important and so timely with everything happening. And I think it's a great topic to bring up. So I appreciate that. And thank you. And like, what's the one thing, if somebody just chimed in now or somebody listened to this whole thing, I mean, what do you want them to walk away with from this conversation?
I want them to walk away with a bigger picture focus on how they can help their customer. That they're not just in the customer didn't come to you because they want a house. They came to you because they're trying to achieve a much bigger goal, and it's an ongoing goal. And that creates all kinds of potential for you to provide them with more value that they're going to be willing to pay for.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Hey, Masters, 45 seconds. That's all I ask. I appreciate you listening to the show. I don't know if I say that enough, but I know you can invest your time wherever you choose. So thank you for spending it here with us. Remember, if you want any information on me or my events coming up, just go to my website, which is davidihill.com. Again, davidihill.com. Click on the events tab. You've got webinars, you've got past webinar replays, everything is there. You can also get access to our sponsors there if you click on the affiliates link. So again, everything is at davidihill.com, and we'd love to have you join us on our Facebook community, but just go to Facebook and search groups, which is Path to Mastery. And finally, as you know, you can get yourself a free book by going to davidsfreebook.com. My friends, again, I just want to say I appreciate you spending time with us. Oh my gosh, I forgot to review. If you would, it helps so much if you'd be willing to go give me a review, and then email a review to me at david@davidihill.com. Email it to me. I'll read it on air for you. And I just want to say I appreciate you again for listening to the show. You rock. Enjoy the rest of your day.